You already know what time it is, man. The young GOAT in the building. Make sure you tune in to True Hill Heat Podcast.
What's up, True Hill Heat? True Hill Heat.
What's up? True Hill Heat all hands is on me.
Yo, what up? You know what it is. It's your boy AJ Francis reporting to you live from New York City, the birthplace of hip-hop. And I'm telling you that I'm only tuned in with True Hill Heat Wrestling. Holla at me.
Oh, it is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. We are live on the True Hill Heat, YouTube, Facebook, and Romeo's Twitter for WWE NXT No Mercy 2024 review. And yes, I have no mercy and no co-host today. I am riding solo. I want to shout out my good brother Corey Brennan. Hope he's feeling better. He's a little under the weather, but I said it. I am going solo. I already promoted this review, so I give what the people want. I give them the reviews and the shows they want to talk about. And today they want to talk about NXT No Mercy, the second WWE premium live event of the weekend, Sunday, September 1st from Denver, Colorado. The first time in over 20 years WWE has done a premium live event from Denver. So I am here to discuss it all with all of you. I appreciate y'all if you are joining us live. I appreciate y'all if you are watching us on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. You just drop the thumbs up on this video. You can share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. We got plenty of content for you to enjoy over the last 2 weeks. We've reviewed everything between and previewed AEW All in London. We had TNA Emergence, NJPW Capital Collision. We'll be doing a review later this week for that show. We did AEW, plenty of other content with that. AEW Dynamite with AE Ramble. We had our flagship podcast where we covered everything from Stardom's 5-star Grand Prix through previews and predictions for WWE Bash in Berlin. Check out a review from yesterday with me and the True Jaw Josh. And now we're capping off this week with NXT No Mercy. So we appreciate y'all for joining us. You're watching us on Facebook. Drop a heart, drop a like, drop a laughing emoji, an angry emoji. However, NXT No Mercy made you feel. Let us know with those emotes. But most of all, I'm riding solo, but I'm not really solo because you guys are my co-hosts. You guys dictate what we're going to talk about, what we're going to elaborate on, give some further thoughts about from last night's NXT No Mercy. We had the big debut of Giulia that we got to discuss on this show. You had Rich Holland turning heel on Chase U. TNA TNA's X Division champion getting a W on a WWE premium live event. That's big news. That's a big deal within itself. And of course, TNA's own Joe Hendry in the main event, and probably one of the most popular guys in WWE, yet doesn't have a contract with the company. Crazy to think. And it was a premium live event that was under 3 hours. So, spoiler alert, it's already going to get a big thumbs up from me here. But I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the co-hosts today. So I try to highlight as many of your comments as possible. But of course, if you want to show your support in the best way possible and further grow the True Heel Heat YouTube channel, you can send a super chat donation. Any dollar amount matters. It goes back to the contributors that you see on screen with us here. So for this stream, it goes back to this contributor. I got twins at home. I got a wifey's birthday's coming up this week. So send your love, send your support, because I always appreciate that for sure. We got already in the chat the best guy when it comes to overall reviews of the show in the comment section is Eric Isaac, who says happy Labor Day. Happy Labor Day to everyone watching. We've had a busy Labor Day weekend, but we're capping it off here on Labor Day. He says, THH fam, Wes gets revenge on Wes. Let's try to say that 10 times fast. Wes gets revenge on Wes. Ridge turns on Chase U, Kelani, Oba, Paige, and Roxy retain, and the age of Giulia is finally here on NXT. The arrival of the next ace of the NXT Women's Division. We got Vala B in the chat who says the funniest review for No Mercy is my brother saying it was like a Dynamite from 2021. I mean, there was plenty of good wrestling on this show. You're going to have to elaborate on that one. What do you mean, a Dynamite from 2021? I remember that being a good year for 2021 Dynamite. And the show was under 3 hours, so very comparison on runtime. We got Chris in the chat who says Giulia is 9 years older than Roxanne Perez. I don't know why we need to know that, but okay. He also says No Mercy was better than Bash in Berlin. There's an argument. I told the True Heel Heat chat on yesterday evening. I was like, a premium live event that ends in under 3 hours. I've seen enough. I'm calling the fight. NXT won the weekend once again. I really enjoyed Bash in Berlin, but if you had to tell me, okay, pick one of these shows to watch, I think Bash in Berlin had the best match of the weekend with Gunther versus Randy Orton. I said yesterday on our review, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre strap match was better than their match at SummerSlam, and Owens and Cody delivered a banger to kick off the show. But this show had three great matches, three bangers, if you will. The main event was good, and anything that wasn't like above and beyond that, it was at least passable enough. So, hey, thumbs up show for me, and I'd much rather watch a show that has 3 hours less than 3 hours runtime than a little bit over 3 hours. That's just me. It's probably like a 15-minute difference between the two shows, but I came out of No Mercy feel a lot better than I did after Bash in Berlin, honestly. We got Vala B showing his support as always, saying smash like for the chat. Yes, indeed. We got Josh, the true Josh. He says the biggest Giulia fans can finally watch their first Giulia match. Absolutely. WWE fans galore. They've been watching Marigold for years. They always watch all of Giulia's matches in New Japan Pro Wrestling. You hear all that type of stuff from WWE fans who never heard of Giulia until she signed with the company. But there is, in our chat, we got a good community here. There's plenty of big Giulia fans in the chat that we got here. So thank you for joining us. We got Call Me Mr. Banda, who says, Ego. Kill him with a smile, kill him with a smile. That theme song has grown on me. First time I heard that at Battleground, I was like, I don't know if I'm feeling it, but it's grown on me. It's a really good catchy theme. We got Vala B says, LOL, Josh. I was going to bring that up when we came to her debut. We also got Belle who says, I don't know which women's champion I'm supposed to feel worse for, Roxanne because of Giulia or Kelani because I got a feeling she'll be challenged by Stephanie when she eventually debuts. I feel bad for Kelani because wasn't as good of a night as Heat Wave was for her. Her match, spoiler alert, I think it was the worst on the show, unfortunately. I like Kelani, but her and Wendy, sometimes you just don't have good chemistry with everybody. And I like Wendy Choo, but her gimmick is not over the outside of the PC fans. Chilling with Chase in the chat. Thank you for joining us today, good brother Chase. He says WWE fans can't wait for the debut of their second favorite wrestler, Stephanie the Cat. And we got Vala B who says, I mean, he said it like great men's matches, women's matches didn't fully deliver a big debut. That is like 2021 Dynamite. Your brother's on to something. Yes. So we got a lot to discuss here on this review. So keep sounding off in the live chat. Like I said before, show your support with a super chat donation. Any dollar amount matters. Goes back to the contributors, like I always say here. But we kicked off NXT No Mercy 2024 with tag team action. Before that, the Denver crowd, I'm not too high. Of course, it's going to beg the comparison because there was 2 WWE pay-per-views this weekend, premium live events, if you will, this weekend. It's going to have the natural comparison to the Berlin, Germany crowd, and it's no competition. Berlin, Germany had the better crowd than last night in Denver, but I'm not going to be as hard as I saw some people on social media like, oh, this Denver crowd sucks. WWE should never do premium live events in the United States. This Denver crowd sucks. I'll be honest. The Denver crowd were into the good wrestling on the show, and they weren't into the stuff that was below good. So that is totally fine in my regards. I do the show every Thursday, AE Ramble with Jimmy, and Jimmy always has his complaint on the crowd sometimes, but sometimes he rationalizes with they weren't given the best show, and for the not so great matches on this card, the crowd was less enthused. I understand that, and that's totally fine to me. But like I said, the show kicked off with some tag team action as you had Nathan Frazier and Axiom challenging the reigning champions Chase U, Andre Chase, and Ridge Holland for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Chase U actually played kind of subtle heels to start this matchup. You had Chase landing a knee to the stomach. Vic Joseph's bringing up that if you played the game, that would have been a kitchen sink, talking about the No Mercy game from N64. This was really kind of the fast-paced action of the baby faces versus a more methodical side when it came to the heels. You had or Chase U, the champions. Frazier and Ridge had a killer David versus Goliath vibe to them, where Frazier, man, he's just so fast. He runs the ropes like a Madcap Moss, like a Braun Breaker. He just shows that 0 to 100 type of speed. Frazier flipped to evade Holland. Holland took him down with a delayed butterfly suplex for a 2. We get a super kick party from Axiom and Nathan Frazier. Frazier ends that sequence with landing a standing shooting star press to Chase, only getting the 2. Holland starts running wild on Frazier with a double underhook suplex, an overhead belly-to-belly suplex, and a Usaka cutter at one point for a 2. You get Axiom came in. He ate a big power slam and a sick-looking diving headbutt by Ridge Holland. Ridge Holland was showing a little bit more to the repertoire in this one, but he gets saved at 2.5. Chase is tagged in. He reverses Axiom, who looks for his signature Spanish fly, and instead he hits a Spanish fly and then hits a snap tiger driver, which I was very impressed by Andre Chase at this point, getting the 2 count. Holland wanted a double choke slam on the baby faces, on the challengers on the floor, but he ate some offense as a springboard off of the barricade and hit a double dive onto the bigger man. Chase tags in. He eats a Axiom frog splash, and then Frazier springboard 450 that looked absolutely beautiful. You get Frazier super kick. It's avoided by Chase. It's turned into a Kamanguri to weaken Chase for a superplex, so a brain buster into the double team golden ratio. The old chasing the dragon from Red Dragon. That only gets a 2.5. At this point, the crowd is really into this matchup. They try to go for a golden ratio on Chase, but Chase pulls Frazier into the way. So Axiom once again hitting Frazier with the golden ratio, showing that miscommunication of the challengers, the former champions. You get Frazier before Holland comes in. He hits a sick looking lariat and then a powerbomb backstabber combination by Chase U. Only gets 2.99 as Frazier kicks out. And Axiom Flash Cradle got a 2 before we get the snap little Spanish fly from Axiom. Then we get Frazier going up to the top rope with the Phoenix Splash. 1, 2, 3. Axiom and Nathan Frazier are your new and 2-time NXT Tag Team Champions. Such a fun matchup. This man, Axiom and Nathan Frazier are the best tag team in WWE. There's no question. DIY is great. The Street Profits are always fun. The Judgment Day have come into their own and have a lot of history together, especially the combination of Finn Balor and JD McDonough. But there is no better tag team that gives you a high banger rate, a high quality rate like Axiom and Nathan Frazier, to the point that they have passed the conversation of being the best tag team in WWE. There's no debate there. They may be the best tag team in the world, and they are my current pick for the 2024 Tag Team of the Year because they deliver banger after banger after banger, and this year was no question at all another banger. 4 stars from me on the star ratings. Post-match, you see Chase U all in the ring together looking despondent. Riley and Duke go to leave the ring when Ridge Holland attacks them from behind to the shock of the fans in attendance. Thea Hale is asking Ridge, what are you doing? He attacks Andre Chase. Thea pleads with him to stop. She is perfect in this role because she just looks so small in comparison to an angry Ridge Holland. He stares at his hands as he starts beating down on Andre Tate. He takes off all the stuff off the announce table and delivers the Redeemer, the old Rampage from Page, on the DDT onto the announce table, which takes out Andre Chase after he took out Riley Osborne and Duke Hudson on the outside, throwing them into the barricade. We get a stretcher job as Andre Chase is escorted out of the building. This was a very effective heel turn that, I mean, if you've been watching NXT, this kind of was telegraphed. It was kind of obvious what was going to happen. And especially when Frazier and Axiom beat Chase U on their first title defense, which feels like the second time. I'm not sure if their first title reign, when it was Andre Chase and Duke Hudson last year, was it on the first defense that they lost the titles? But it felt like the first defense because they only held it for less than a month. Chase U is on hold these damn tag team titles for more than a month. They never are able to do it, and they're not able to do it here. And Ridge Holland turns heel. It just seemed inevitable that Ridge Holland was going to turn heel after all the doubts in the story that they told. It seemed appropriate to do it here, the biggest place possible at NXT No Mercy. So very effective. I thought it was a good heel turn, a good betrayal by Ridge Holland to pay off on the story that they've been telling over the last 2 months. So, like I said, 4 stars for the matchup. What did you guys think about the opener to the show? We do have our super chat donation. Thank you so much. I Make Beats. He got a new profile pic. I Make Beats. Is that a new profile pic? I see you, brother. He says, let's go. I got that one right, SP. Hey, I'll give it to you. You did. I did not. I thought Chase U would at least hold it into this show. I didn't think Axiom and Nathan Frazier we're going to get back the belts this soon, but hey, I'll give them credit. I May Be saying, I enjoyed the show. Thank you once again, I May Beast, for the super chat donation. We got Chilling with Chase, who says Denver's first pay-per-view / PLE since Vengeance 2003. Wow, going back. I could tell you the main event of that show right off the top of my head: Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle versus Big Show. I remember that one, and I think that was the one where they crowned the first ever WWE United States champion between Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit, and probably on the undercard it was Undertaker versus John Cena. Someone look it up on Wikipedia and tell me how well I am at give you the top 3 matches of pay-per-views by just seeing the name and the year. We got Call Me Mr. Bonda, who says Fraxium might be the best tag team in the company right now. Ain't no might, Mr. Bonda. They are. They are the best tag team in the company, and it's not even close. Like, I love DIY. I think DIY was one of the best tag teams in the world 7 years ago, but they haven't put together the catalog that Axiom and Nathan Frazier have done in 2024, whether it be their matches and their series with the Wolf Dogs in the Dusty Classic, and then the title defense at Stand and Deliver, and then winning the tag team titles, whether it be their series of matches with Chase U that we've seen. Hey, they gave us the best OC matchup in recent years. Like, put some respect. Leave that mine alone. They are the best tag team in WWE today. We do have another super chat donation from Will Chisholm. Good to see my brother out here in these streets. He's back in here showing some love once again. Good to see you, Will. He says Jordan Grace can't help herself with the WWE teasing. And WWE might get Bozilla. I'm like, they telling the NIL girls to step off, I guess. I mean, when you got Giulia debuting on this show, you got Stephanie Becerra waiting in the rings, you got Delta waiting in the rings. Jordan Grace is a foregone conclusion, going to sign with the company in 2025. This NXT women's division is hooping like crazy. And then what we saw on this show with one of the NIL girls who really impressed, and Jaida Parker, we got it right now. We got Chase in the chat. Thank you once again, Will. He says Andre Chase gotta be drenched every match. How is he wearing that getup wrestling? This man is the best professional wrestler who wears a sweater. Like, how he's able to just ball every premium live event, it seems, in a sweater and some Jordans. You got to show love to Andre Chase, the old Harlem bravado, showing that bravado here. Chris agrees with me. He gives the match 4 stars as well. We also got in the chat, I Make Beats, with another super chat donation. Thank you so much. I Make Beats. He shows some love. He says, Ethan Page, SP Ego. Kill him with a smile. You silly man. Yo, that's a jam. That's a bop. They need to start singing that too. We should have got both of their entrances sang during the main event. And yeah, Mr. Wanda, it's banger after banger after banger when it comes to the man, when it comes to those boys. Nathan Frazier and Axiom. Nathan Frazier and Axiom is like Paul London and Brian Kendrick went and slept with the Motor City Machine Guns, and out came an Axiom and Nathan Frazier. These dudes is like those two tag teams fused together. Like they did the Dragon Ball Z fusion, and they just brought them all together, and they just make the perfect tag team. Like, if they were singles competitors, they would be easily in the top 5 on their own, honestly, on the NXT brand. But together, they are the best tag team in all of the WWE. We got some video packages, as we tend to do with these NXT shows, that pretty much these are video packages that you've already seen if you watch NXT week to week. We get one with P. Dunne hyping him up, sets up. He started wrestling at 12 years old, being in the business for 18 years and overcoming everything, including being beaten up on a bus by a group of people who didn't help him. Trick side of it, ahead of their matchup on Tuesday's NXT, is that he's focused on the hardships, and like Dunn, he blended his real life toughness with what his character has gone through. We also get the history of the next 2 competitors, which is Wes Lee and Zachary Wentz, largely focusing on their WWE history and not getting into Wes's release from 2 years ago, but how Wes turned on the Rascals last month at Great American Bash. And that led into our next contest. The TNA X Division champion Zachary Wentz going one-on-one with Wes Lee. Now, I was very vocal on the True Hill Heat Flagship podcast about just the booking of just giving the Speedball Mike Bailey the win, the big win at Slammiversary in his hometown of Montreal, Quebec, Canada, against the undefeated Mustafa Ali after the long reign that Ali had. And then 1 month later, having him drop the title in an Ultimate X to Zachary Wentz, just because you wanted to get the belt on an NXT Premium Live event, and in a match that I thought that Zachary Wentz would lose. I was wrong. This one started off very fast between these two men, each man countering everything else that the other man threw at them because they knew each other so well. Wentz got an edge after a drop down, opening the door for a sliding drop kick. Lee swept the leg on the apron and landed some soft kicks on the floor against the LED apron. He rammed Wes into the ring post at another point of the matchup. Wes landed a handspring knee, which looked really good. Got a nice ovation from the crowd and some TNA chants. Zachary Wentz went for a swanton and got a 2 before Lee hit a Meteora, which was turned into a mid-ring Boston Crab. That looks smooth as hell. We get a cardiac kick by Wes Lee, but that only gives him a 2 count. Wes comes back and he hits a sick-looking blockbuster DDT and set up for some floor combat between the two men. Wes was sent into the steps on the outside. He avoided a Meteora to send Lee into and over the steps, knee first. Wes Lee hit a nice little black mass roundhouse kick that sent Wes onto the announce table and threw it as the announce table just broke like it was MJF versus Jay White at Full Gear last year. But Wes Lee is an absolute maniac. Instead of doing something else and improvising because the table was not supposed to break, this man goes out there and does a Meteora / swerve stomp to Zachary Wentz on the floor near his ankles, man. Hopefully he's all right because that could have went dangerously wrong. Wes once again rams Zachary Wentz into the ring post. He looks to get a steel chair on the floor, but it's Trey Miguel who appears. He grabs the steel chair from Wes. Wes is pissed. He argues with him a bit, which causes a distraction enough for Wes to come off the apron for a Canadian destroyer, landing him straight on his head. He follows up on the inside of the ring with the UFO cutter, which looked beautiful. 1, 2, 3. This was a fun, awesome display of just all-out offense. There wasn't a lot of selling to this one, but it was just crazy, high-impact offense from both men. They knew each other very well, so that led to some nice counter work and reversals throughout, but a very fun matchup to follow up from the opener. I gave this one 3 3/4 stars. This was a very fun matchup on this show, arguably one of the better matches on the show. I would say that only the opener and one other match I would say was better than this one. Had the miscue with the announce table and the slight interference from Trey Miguel, but other than that, man, these two guys banged out, and you can tell though they were leaving a little bit in the chamber. I think this went 13 and a half minutes, so they left a little meat on the bone to follow up for a rematch, which I think is going to go even harder than this did. Put that on your October CW premiere, Zachary Wentz versus Wes Lee 2. Give me that for sure. We got Myron Kidd talking about that opener once again. He says Axiom and Nathan Frazier are the tag team of the year. No argument here. No, I said that talking about the opener. No argument at all. Call me Mr. Bonda, who says my MVP of the weekend, Zachary Wentz, started off the weekend winning Ultimate X and then ends the weekend becoming the first TNA talent to win at a WWE Premium Live event. TNA, you made the right call. In hindsight, in the moment, I was like, why would you do that to Speedball? This team's kind of short-sighted. But in the end, you got the X Division title highlighted on the WWE Premium Live event, and you had your champion beat one of the top stars in NXT. You made the right call. You made the right call in hindsight. Chilling with Jay says, I couldn't believe a TNA champ beat a current WWE guy at all. I thought for sure Lee would win in this match, but I like the pleasant surprise with Wentz winning. I agree with you. It was a pleasant surprise. I did not expect that. I will say the nitpick I would say is that Wes Lee's heel turn not starting out too well. He lost that triple threat number one contenders matchup to Joe Hendry with Pete Dunne involved, and then he lost his big first matchup on a premium live event as a heel. Not off to the best start, but other than that, this is great for at TNA. You got something. You got something. Now I can see people making an actually legitimate argument that the TNA partnership with NXT is a success because they got to win on the WWE PLE. Bell saying, not going to lie, when Wentz won, I knew Joe Hendry was going to lose. Really good match, by the way. I agree with the really good matchup. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, Bell. I knew Joe Hendry wasn't going to win before that. We got Will in the chat. He says, I think the crazy West spot better than whatever that table spot was. I mean, I wanted to see if he had the hops to make the table spot. I'll be honest. If he was going to do freaking a swerve stomp through the table, that would have been the spot of the night, though. Come on, Will. We can't front on that. We get a video package, hype package for Fatal Influence, Fallon Henley, JC Jane, and Jasmine Nix. And then after we get a, Wendy Choo and Kelani Jordan are advertised. We got Oba Femi hype package before Hank and Tank appear with an Instagram live video recapping the show so far and saying they want to get a shot at the NXT Tag Team Championships. And speaking of which, it was announced later in the show by General Manager Ava that it will be Hank and Tank versus Gallus versus the Rascals, Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel in a number one contenders triple threat match this Tuesday on NXT to determine who's going to face Axiom and Nathan Frazier for their first title defense of their second reign on the September 10th edition of NXT, which is going to be part of WWE Week on the USA Network. Next up was our second title defense of the night, the NXT Women's North American Championship up for grabs. Kelani Jordan defending against Wendy Choo. Jordan got a quick 2 count off of a tiger mask fin kick into a schoolgirl. Then we get Jordan landed a tornillo to the floor and landed right on her knees hard, which did not look pretty for her. We get a double backflip moonsault. Got a 2 for Kelani Jordan. She's just so talented, so athletic in the ring. It's really stunning to see her, knowing that she's only been wrestling for 2 years. Wendy Choo locked her in the Tree of Woe and on the apron and got a drop kick. We get a sunset flip into the buckle by Wendy Choo, lands a basement flatliner. The crowd was pretty dead at this point, to the point where the PC's ceiling fan made more noise than the fans in attendance. They really weren't into this matchup, to be fair to the ladies. Jordan landed a Pele kick and a sit-out DDT for a 2 count. Choo landed a powerbomb and a full Nelson slam for another 2. They go up to the top rope for a superplex, but I think Wendy Choo went for like a hip toss off the top rope, and they just slipped off, which I was like, I feel bad for them because the crowd wasn't already into the matchup, and then they had a very noticeable botch here where they just seemed off. Choo locks on her Cobra Clutch submission. Jordan doesn't quite fire her up, but responds to avoid losing, landing a beautiful looking frog splash. And then she followed up with her split-legged moonsault for the 1, 2, 3. This was not good. It just wasn't good. I gave it, I'm sorry, ladies. I gave it 2 stars. The crowd wasn't into it. You had the very noticeable botch, and it just didn't seem like they had the best chemistry. Like crowd reaction wise, it was scary quiet for a crowd that was so vocally into the opener and the Battle of the Rascals. They just were completely silent and not into this matchup at all. I feel for the ladies. Like I said, I think Kelani Jordan is a one-of-a-kind in-ring performer. So much athleticism, and she moves so smooth and fluid in the ring, while Wendy Choo is a really good character worker and shows that charisma off. This match just didn't bring anything and did not vibe. Post-match, you get Tatum Paxley, who comes out and she jumps Wendy Choo. She locks on a dragon sleeper to stunning silence, according to Vic Joseph. I don't know if he should have pointed out how silent it was, because that made me notice more that they were also silent during this matchup. Like I said, I think I'm going to go lower, actually. I think I'm going to go 1 3/4 stars. This was not good. Just not good. Vala B says, yeah, man, these two had no chemistry. Yeah, the crowd wasn't into the Wendy Choo character, first of all. Kelani Jordan is doing all this crazy stuff. Like, she moves in the ring like she's a black Rob Van Dam. Like, she just moves so smooth. Her frog splash is one of the most beautiful in the business today, but the crowd did not care at all. I said to the True Hill Heat chat that this felt like a WWE main roster women's tag team matchup, where the crowd just had no reason to care. And it's unfortunate, because these two ladies are talented in their own ways. I don't think this matchup showcased that, though. That was the issue. Myron Kidd says, woof, this match was something. Something. Vala B says, off day for Wendy. Who knows? They tried. They did. Myron Kidd says, Wendy Choo is a prime example of why having a great gimmick and/or theme song is very important for a talent. Sometimes it really is. It really just makes a world difference if you have a good theme song and if you have a good character that people can get into. Goodfellas says this match should have went second. Putting the Tag and Rascals back to back was killer. Yeah, it felt very much like Goodfellas. That's a good point, because it felt very much akin to doing the Casino Gauntlet, then MJF and Will Ospreay, and then following with Mercedes and Britt, where the crowd in Wembley Stadium, I was there live, they were into the entrances, but they were just like, ooh, we need a breather after the last two matches, and they were quiet during the matchup between Mercedes and Britt. But this was like world silent. Man, it made the Wembley crowd sound like they were on fire during Britt and Mercedes, how quiet the fans were for this one. We got Belle, who says, I like both of these ladies, so this was sad to see. I'm with you, Belle. I really like Wendy. I'm loving Kelani Jordan. I just want her to get a little bit more of a character, honestly, but this was not good. Mr. Bonda says, I'd have preferred Jordan versus Ruka 2 than whatever this was. Can she just be Karen Q? Please go back to Karen Q at this point. Chilling with Jay says, Tatum Paxley is the most pushed wrestler to have not done anything I've ever seen. I mean, what can you do? And Eric Isaac says, Wendy versus Tatum in a lights out match at NXT Halloween Havoc. Please no, do not put Wendy Choo on a premium live event. After this one, I'm sorry. I like Wendy Choo, but don't do that. You set them up to fail again. We get a Jada Parker hype package here at this point. We see Thea Hale leaving with Andre Chase in an ambulance. Backstage, Ridge Holland offered no explanation for what he did. In a strange move, given how many video packages have aired, Femi and Tony D'Angelo got none to actually build up their matchup. We just got one to showcase Femi, with Booker T saying that Femi passes the airport test of looking like a star. Speaking of which, the NXT North American Championship was up next. Femi going one-on-one with Tony D'Angelo, with the D'Angelo family in his corner. collar and elbow tie-up early on. They turn that into a headlock and then send the Don back with a tackle. D'Angelo hits a Cactus Jack style clothesline at one point, sending Femi and himself to the floor before landing a big flying forearm mid-ring. He was looking good at this point of the matchup. Femi snapped suplexed him for a 2 count. We get a shoulder breaker by Femi at this point, gets a 2.5. Femi boxed his ears with a big Damian Priest-like box of the ear slap, with D'Angelo going for a belly-to-belly suplex before they work to the floor for an apron DDT by D'Angelo. Femi recovered and landed an overhead belly-to-belly suplex before hitting a Ken Shamrock-style standing side belly-to-belly suplex for a 2. They go back and forth with forearms before D'Angelo landed a power slam and then hit an electric chair drop for a 2, showing off his strength. D'Angelo got a 2 off of a spear, but ate a tossing back suplex and a Cactus Jack-like clothesline from Femi to the outside. Back inside, Femi hit a pop-up powerbomb, got a 2.99. I thought that was over, but D'Angelo showing his fight, kicking out. D'Angelo comes back and he hits the Ron Simmons-like spine buster, but couldn't follow up as he's been beaten down throughout this contest. Femi lands a big power bomb and then follows up with the Batista bomb, sit-out power bomb for the 1-2-3. This was a pretty good hoss fight between the two men. Another great showcase of how strong Oba Femi can be. This was one of D'Angelo's better singles efforts that he does, one of his better performances here. I think these two had a pretty good matchup. I gave the matchup 3.5 stars. Good matchup to follow up. The crowd got into it late after, recovering from the Kelani Jordan, Wendy Choo matchup, but they gave it good reactions down the stretch here. So I gave it 3.5 stars. What did you guys think about the North American Championship matchup? Call me Mr. Bonda says, Oba Femi is the mountain you cannot climb. They need to make Oba Femi a double champion. Oba Femi needs to be the one that eventually dethrones Ethan Page, in my opinion. He's just so good. He just has a great character as the ruler, and he just has that swagger to him. He does pass the airport test, but he has a great deal of charisma as well. There's just a certain gravitas to Oba Femi that you can't teach, and that's a guy that you build NXT around. We got... Yeah, they did run that ambulance segment like 5 times during the show with no updates after each replay, which was funny. We got Myron Kidd. He says, speaking of Halloween Havoc, they better have that big WCW pumpkin as part of the stage since it's going to be in an arena this year. You're onto something. I agree. Myron Kidd says, Gunther versus Oba Femi is going to feed families for generations. I like the way you think, sir. And Chase says, Oba Femi it's just a specimen. He really is. He really is. Indeed. I agree with that. Backstage, Trick Williams, we see him first. He talks to Joe Hendry and tells him that he's going to call things down the middle. Joe Hendry tells him he understands, but he meant what he said. He says when he wins the NXT Championship, he's going to make his first title defense against Trick Williams. We then see backstage, Trick Williams tells Ethan Page to abide by his rules and that he's going to call things down the middle. And Ethan Page doesn't believe him, but he says if you get out of line, he's going to whoop that Trick. We also get backstage at this point. This is when Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz, they say that he's got one brother left, says Wentz, and they want the new tag team champions for the titles. And that was before Ava made the announcement for the triple threat tag team matchup coming up on Tuesday's NXT. And then that led into our next matchup for the NXT Women's Championship. It is Roxanne Perez defending against Jaida Parker. They gave Jaida Parker the now traditional one-shot big entrance where she cut a great promo, which she just has like otherworldly charisma. Like there's just something. She has that it factor. The it factor, the aura that they talk about. Jaida Parker has it in spades. But noticeably, Jaida Parker had adhesive tape on her ribs, which become a big part of the matchup here. Parker and Perez got into a little game of one-upsmanship early on, escaping ground moves from one another, with Perez flipping out of a head scissors before returning the slap from the TV interview. This led to Jaida Parker showing her power, putting down Perez. Perez dove to the floor, almost ate a DVD on the floor before escaping and then slamming Parker's injured ribs into the steel steps. She got her arm trapped. She trapped her arms and just started stomping her ribs into the steel steps. Man, Jaida Parker has been wrestling she debuted on NXT less than a year ago, but her selling was fantastic in this matchup. The way that she sold the ribs early on to lead to this spot, it was just brilliantly done. And she just shows so much poise and presence in this matchup. Perez brought her in for a trio of stomps to the stomach. Perez reminded me of like a Bret Hart, how she was dissecting the body and the rib cage of Jaida Parker in this one. And she logically takes advantage of every opportunity that she gets into the ring. Her psychology is down pat, and it's a coup and a tip of the cap to Booker T being her trainer, how good she is at that little kind of like in-ring IQ is on 10, on 100 in this matchup. She gets a kneeling abdominal stretch, keeps the edge going for Perez. You get a top rope teardrop that worked against Parker this time from earlier. It opens the door for Perez's advantage, finally paying off and hitting the teardrop with the booty. And then she did the Jaida Parker like freaking high steps. She just has perfected her hero role and her hero character. She worked over the ribs so well throughout this matchup before Parker would regain control. She hits a slick inverted suplex, but Perez locked on a crossface before turning it into the Rings of Saturn and started elbowing down on the ribs before Parker powered up and Samoan dropped her. And this was like a night and day difference between this matchup and the women's North American matchup. The crowd was fully invested into this matchup, and it shows how much Jaida Parker has grown and gotten over and connected with these fans. She finally pays off, hitting the little teardrop off the top rope this time, putting that booty into the ribs of Roxanne Perez. Good follow-up with that one. On the outside, after Perez avoids the hip attack, the running hip attack, she tries to go for pop rocks. That's avoided. It sends them to the floor where Jaida Parker once again tries to go for the hip attack, but she crashes through the timekeeper's barricade. We get a pop rocks on the fallen barricade on the floor. We get them slowly getting back into the ring before the count of 10, and Roxanne Perez quickly follows up with a second pop rocks for the victory here. Great match. This was, spoiler alert, the match of the night. These two women worked so well together, and I was not that high on Roxanne Perez versus Lola Vice. I think it was more to do with the promo that they did before the show and unnecessarily turning Lola Vice into a babyface. This one worked so well. Jaida Parker played a phenomenal underdog babyface in the matchup, and Roxanne Perez has come into her own as one of the best female wrestlers in WWE today, and arguably one of the top 5, top 3 NXT Women's Champions of all time with this title reign here. With the first one ending in the weird way that it did, where she lost it via anxiety, basically, to this one, it's like night and day. It's so far she has lapped her first reign as NXT Women's Champion. Great matchup here. I gave it 4 stars, but the post-match is what everybody's talking about. As Roxanne Perez celebrated her victory in the ring, only for the lights to go out and new music hitting. We get the smoke filling up the entranceway, and out of the smoke came the former World of Stardom champion, former NJPW Strong Women's champion, and another one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. Giulia has finally arrived in NXT. She walks out. She gets a good reaction from this Denver crowd. The Denver crowd were expecting Giulia, and they responded to her in a huge way. And Giulia was a lot different from WrestleMania weekend, where she didn't expect people to know her. She knew the people know her, and she was basking in her own glory. She comes out and has a stare down with the NXT Women's Champion, Roxanne Perez, and this just fit in so well. This seems like I said, I know there's some people out there that's like, oh, they're setting this up for Halloween Havoc since their next premium live event is next month at the end of October. No. You book this on the CW premiere and you scrap up Giulia immediately. You could do the rematch at Halloween Havoc, but you crown Giulia in day one. This is like, she needs to get the Asuka treatment in NXT. This was just overall, between the matchup, between the post-match and the big debut of Giulia, this was the best part of this show. The women's scene on NXT has improved leaps and bounds with Giulia's arrival, with Roxanne Perez putting on an excellent title reign, and with women like Jaida Parker stepping up to the plate like she did on this show. The NXT women's division might be the best women's division in all of WWE right now. And that's a coup and a tip of the cap to Shawn Michaels and the recruitment process with putting together such a great group of ladies on there. We got a lot of people in the chat here showing some love. And yes, Myron Kid, Jaida Parker has live show charisma. We got Belle, who says Jaida killed it. I agree. Jaida Parker was great in this matchup. For someone who's been wrestling for less than 2 years, who's been training for less than 2 years, debuted less than a year ago, Jaida Parker has that it factor. I Make Beats says Roxanne is great. We also got Call Me Mr. Bonda, who says Roxanne is Booker T's greatest student, bar none. By far. It's not even close. I May Beats says great match. We also got Call Me Mr. Bonda, who says Giulia is going to be on her 2012 Rainmaker shot era. I'll enjoy every second of it. I'm with you 100%. Chris saying 4 stars. Best Jaida Parker match. Best Jaida Parker best match in her NXT career. It's either this or the Meechin match. The Meechin street fight was excellent as well, but this one on the big stage, you might be right. It is the best of her career. Cyclops is better than Wolverine. Good to see you in the chat. He says Jaida versus Roxy got 2 separate "This is awesome" chants and 1 "Holy shit" chant for a Jaida Parker match. That's crazy, but deserved. You got Chilling with Chase, who says really like this match. Did a great job finding a weakness to focus on in the matchup in the ribs and told a fantastic story surrounding it. Parker is well beyond her years as a performer. I agree indeed. Myron Kid, I do agree. This is probably my only nitpick of the Giulia debut. Man, Def Rebel is so ass. I agree with Myron. Generic ass spooky music for Giulia's theme. You also got Chase, who says Giulia Def Rebel theme is a 5 out of 10. Why can't they just like hear her Stardom music or her Marigo music and just remix that? Like that's a good thing that Mikey Ruckus does for AEW. He hears themes that work for the people in the past, and he just makes his variation of it. He did that with Adam Cole. He did that with Keith Lee. Like, it's not that hard. They make it a lot harder than they need to. Will Chisholm says that face-off was like a WrestleMania shot. Yeah. It does feel big enough to kind of put it at like on a premium live event, but I think they got to knock this CW premiere out of the box. If not the CW premiere, the second week when they're going against AEW, you put that matchup on either of those weeks, in my opinion. We got Eric Isaac, who says Miss Parker has arrived. Roxanne is a great one, and the Giulia era will be legendary. I can't agree more. Juggo Stage, what's up, brother? He says Roxanne is easily 3rd, maybe 4th best NXT Women's Champion. I think it's Asuka, Io Sky, Bayley, and then Roxanne. She's in my Mount Rushmore now. Yeah, I said it. Might be in my Mount Rushmore. Close fifth is Sasha Banks, but that's my five. That's my top five. My top five, and Roxanne Perez is right in the top five for me. Sage saying, Giulia keeping the name is awesome. She looked great and a hell of an entrance. Music is okay. Wish she kept her old theme. Same with Vala B, who says, let her keep her Marigold theme. I mean, Marigold is just NXT Japan. Why can't she just keep her Marigold theme? Chilling with Chase says they did it with Jade. Jade's WWE theme is mad similar to her AEW theme. That is true. That is true. I do agree with that. And we got Follow B who says, and once again, got to make the joke now. WWE fans can finally see their first Giulia match. Indeed. Bell says, everybody talking about contracts, and I'm here like, when is Def Rebel's contract is ending? We need to get them the fuck up out of here. They're messing up some great debuts, man. Like, I want to be all positive about the debut, but y'all right. That music was ass. It's not. It's unidentifiable. She's gonna get that quietness until she shows up out of the smoke. Like, come on, y'all, get it together. Ava, at this point, this is when she announced the number one contenders tag team title triple threat for Tuesday's NXT. She says the winner will get the shot on the September 10th episode. Trick Williams then comes out for our main event where he will be special guest referee for the NXT Championship matchup. It's Ethan Page going one-on-one with Joe Hendry of TNA Wrestling. Joe Hendry main eventing a WWE Premium Live event. This man went from working any job he could during the pandemic era of Ring of Honor. He's worked for Inside the Ropes. He started off on TNA long ago during like their 2010s era when they were going over to Europe, and he worked with Grado during that era to, becoming a viral sensation and coming into TNA and slowly but surely becoming the most popular guy here. And he main events a WWE Premium Live event and gets the biggest babyface reaction of the night. And he came out after Trick Williams, who always gets usually the biggest babyface reaction on these NXT shows. No, this crowd was singing Joe Hendry's theme like he was Randy Orton. They were the loudest they were on this show for Joe Hendry. They believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. Do you? And did you believe Joe Hendry could win this one? Ethan Page was the consummate heel champion in this one early on. You get Hendry showing off a little offense and his agility. He does a kip up after a headlock takeover, but from Page, we get a big "We believe" chants early on. Hendry walked around with Page in a slam position before delivering a big vertical suplex for a 2. Page got a front choke that Hendry turned into another suplex for a 2 count again. Page wanted a superplex, but it almost got turned into an avalanche standing ovation before Page turned it into an avalanche power slam for a 2.5. Hendry hit a big superplex and an air sabut to the floor. Beautiful. That, like, the no hands dive, that was beautiful right there. Page recovers with an Eagle's Edge right on the apron, which looked like it had to hurt. He hit the edge of the apron, did Hendry. He brings him back into the ring. He gets a cover, and Trick Williams only gives him a 2. He gets in Trick's face, but it gives Hendry enough time where he reverses things and hits an Eagle's Edge of his own mid-ring for a 2.5. Hendry got a fall-away slam, huge "We believe" chants. He does the stomps, and he gets geared up to hit the big standing ovation. But he eventually does hit it, but Page gets his foot under the ropes, unfortunately, for Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is showing his disappointment to Trick Williams when we get him getting driven into Trick, which causes a ref bump. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. This is when the shenanigans starts. He gets shoved into Trick, but Ethan Page does not get the advantage. Instead, Joe Hendry does, and he hits another standing ovation, only gets a 2 count for that one from the replacement referee. He rolls up Ethan Page and gets another close 2 count. Page hits a DDT on the NXT Championship. Before the replacement referee can count the 1, 2, 3, Trick Williams dives in and prevents the new ref from counting 3. Page is arguing with Trick Williams when Joe Hendry swings at Ethan Page. He ducks and Trick Williams ducks, and they hit the replacement referee. Trick goes and checks on the replacement referee while All Ego hits a big low blow to Joe Hendry and then follows up with the Ego's Edge, a Hernandez border torse style for the 1, 2, 3 that Trick Williams begrudgingly has to count. Ethan Page picks up the victory in this one to retain the NXT Championship. He starts bragging and showing off to Trick Williams in the post-match. It looks like Trick Williams is almost on the verge of going after the NXT champion, but out of nowhere, Pete Dunne shows up. He pulls Trick Williams out of the ring. He throws him into the steel steps and then follows up with the bitter end on the floor ahead of their big grudge match coming up on NXT this Tuesday. And the show ends with Pete Dunne's music playing. I was very confused by all of this. I was like, is there something else? Is there something else to the show? This was an instance of, I think the match was good. I think it was a good matchup. I give it 3.5 stars. Good matchup between these two. The crowd was so vocally into this one. They were reacting to this like it was a WWE main roster main event to a PLE. Like Cody versus Kevin Owens style. Like Gunther versus Randy Orton responding to this matchup. You would have thought it was a Raw or SmackDown Premium Live event, SummerSlam main event, the way the crowd was rallying behind Joe Hendry in this one. But the finish and the ending of the show made me really feel like, yeah, the women's championship matchup should have closed the show. Giulia debuting and standing off with the women's champion should have been how this show closed, not Pete Dunne attacking Trick Williams on the outside and his music playing. That felt flat as fuck. That was a flat finish to the show. Very good to solid matchup with Ethan Page and Joe Hendry. Like I said, 3.5 stars from me, but that finish, I would have reversed things. If you're going to have that type of finish, that goes second to last, and the women's title match, which was a better match, and the ending was more impactful with Giulia's debut. That's the close of the show. Not that. I would have swapped that for sure. We got in the chat, I Make Beats, who says Trick's entrance was dope. That first drop boomed out like crazy. Whoop that Trick. Whoop that Trick. Always love the Trick Williams theme song. It's just a banger. That's a banger theme. But Death Rebel, you deserve credit for that one. We got True Jaw Josh in the chat. He says, I'm just gonna say it. Giulia's beneath NXT. Get her out of here. What? No, get out. What do you say? You mean NXT is beneath Giulia? You gotta reverse that sentence, True Jaw. He says, get her out of there. I said what I said. She has to learn the US television style. She's never worked on US television, and they have to get her used to the WWE style. I understand the sentiment, but I don't agree. I think that it is good to start her off on NXT, do 6 months to a year on NXT, where it will be even bigger when she eventually gets to call up to Raw and SmackDown. I Love Dogs Avenue, who says, I have a prediction. The Motor City Machine Guns will be on the September 10th NXT. I think the Motor City Machine Guns debut in WWE on the NXT that goes against AEW Dynamite in October in St. Louis. And they're from the Midwest. That's close enough to Detroit, right? Missouri, Detroit. I don't know. Someone else can look up a calendar. Call Me Mr. Bonda says wrestlers need to do what Cody and Punk did and build strong relationships with the bands who make their theme songs so that they can keep them anywhere they go. Bingo. Agree with you there. I Make B says the crowd believed in Joe Hendry, but we knew better. Fair enough. Chilling with Jay says solid main event with the added extra WWE drama. WWE, man, WWE crowds go crazy, and they were going crazy for Joe Hendry there. Christopher gives it 3 stars. You got Chilling with Chase, who kind of agrees with me. He says, yeah, if the women main evented, I would have a different feeling about this show overall, to be honest. 100% agree with you. Sometimes the pacing and the placement of matches and how the show further develops and ends, it leaves you with the lasting feeling of like a good show or a great show. I think this was a very good show, high 7.5, mid 8 type of show, but like the end of the show, it could have made it like 8.5, 9 out of 10. Like it could have been on the level of Heat Wave. I would have gave a 9 out of 10 if we did that review. Chilling with Chase says, I believe with how Roxanne and Jaida performed, they would have gotten the crowd back into it. Yeah, 100% agree. Bell says, I think the NXT Women's Division are in the place right now to main event PLEs. I think that's what happened here. Yeah, definitely you should have main evented with them. Call Me Mr. Banda says, Hendry's overrated ass can disappear from my wrestling shows and can go play guitar with Jeff Jarrett somewhere. I will not have Joe Hendry slander in the chat, sir. No Joe Hendry slander. This man is charisma upon charisma. His star power is on 10. Corey Michaels in the chat. Good to see you, Corey Michaels, doing great things. He's doing coverage over on Wrestling Observer at Figure4Online.com. I see you, good brother. I see you. He says, just like with Mariah May previously, I'm excited for everyone to see what Giulia does outside of her stardom sphere. We also got our good brother, Mr. Sage, in the chat, who says Giulia in NXT is to let her settle into the country and get used to life there, culture, language, etc. We're on the same page there for sure. And he says, but yeah, ending with the Giulia Roxanne face-off would have been perfect. Would have been a great show. I would have said this was a great show. You ended off with your best match of the night, and you ended off with a big debut that everybody's going to remember. Everybody, regardless of where it went, is going to remember the Giulia debut on this show, but it would have been even more impactful to end your show that way. No Mercy, we got Myron Kidd who says, No Mercy was solid. I figured it was hard for them to follow behind Heat Wave, one of the best PLEs of the year. Agree with you there. I would say only WrestleMania Night 2, SummerSlam, and Backlash France. I would say those are my top 3 WWE PLEs of the year. Then I would go probably Heat Wave, and then either Clash at the Castle or Bash in Berlin. Top 5 WWE PLEs of the year. But keep coming with the comments in the chat. Last call for super chat donation. Thank you so much to everybody who sent those today. I appreciate that, especially when I'm riding solo. I need those super chat donations because those are the comments that get first priority, where I always want to read out and hear your thoughts, your takes on NXT No Mercy. But y'all know the deal. Sound off in the live chat with your match of the night. Your MVP and LVP out of 10. What did you give the show? A thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle for the show overall. I will put my thumb in the middle for NXT No Mercy 2024 in 3, 2, 1. Big thumbs up from me, only because of the placement of matches. Does this not get an 8 from me? I think this is a high 7.5. High 7.5 out of 10 for me. I think that if you swap the last 2 matches, I'm giving it an 8 easy. This is an 8 easy. It's an under 3-hour WWE Premium Live event, which gets the thumbs up for me. This is why I went thumbs up and an 8 out of 10 for Bash in Berlin, because it was over in 3 hours and 5 minutes. This show was over in 2 hours and 45 minutes. Yeah, none of the matches went above like just over 15 minutes as well. This is a easy show to watch.
Everyone,
You say send super chat.
send Choo and I spin.
You'll do a spin. Oh wow! If you gotta come back to do a spin if they send a super chat. I popped the wife. So We got send those super chats, send those love. What did you guys think? What did you give it out of 10 for the show? Chase agrees with me. He gives it a 7.5 out of 10. Call me Mr. Bonda gives it a thumbs up as well. Big thumbs up from Tiger Tony 32. Good to see you. First time seeing you in the chat. Good to see you, good brother. Don't be shy. You can sound off. Tell your thoughts on the show. Corey Michaels gives it a thumbs up. And I'm in agreement with a bunch of people in the chat already. I see it. Match of the night, Roxanne Perez versus Jaida Parker. That well exceeded my expectations. Going into this show, I was like, either Axiom and Nathan Frazier versus Choo or Wes Lee Zachary Wentz was going to be match of the night. But Jaida Parker and Roxanne Perez, they had the crowd into it the entire way. Excellent selling by Jaida Parker and a phenomenal heel performance by Roxanne Perez made that the match of the night for me as well. We got Chilling with Chase, who gives it the match of the night. You got Bell, who gives it match of the night. Corey Michaels as well, who says Perez has elevated the women's title and Parker has tremendous upside. She's a future megastar for WWE, in my opinion. If she's this good a year after her debut, she's going to be amazing in like another year. MVP for the show, I'm going to give co-MVP to Axiom and Nathan Frazier regaining the NXT Tag Team Championships. Zachary Wentz becoming the first TNA talent to win on a WWE Premium Live event. But most of all, if I'm going to give high honors for MVP, I agree with Chilling with Chase. It's Giulia. Giulia's debut. She's got to get MVP for that. We got Myron Kidd, who gives it a 7.5 out of 10 as well. You got Call Me Mr. Bonda, 7.5 out of 10. Would have been 8 if it wasn't for Wendy Choo, sleep paralysis demon. I've seen that joke a few times. I got to give it to you. That pops me every single time. Bell says MVP Giulia, Jaida, even though she lost, really good showing, and Zachary Wentz for winning. And we also got another super chat donation. Thank you so much. Chilling with Chase with the super chat donations. He says, need to see Harlem do the spin. If not this episode, in a future one. You got it. You got it, Chilling with Chase. Tomorrow, Rated Raw review, 1:05 p.m. Eastern time. We're getting a Harlem spin. Once she comes in the room to do her usual run-in, I'm going to say, you got to do a spin because Chilling with Chase send a super chat donation today. I'm going to put it in my notes actually right now. Put it in my notes because you send a super chat for the spin. I give the people what they want. You'll get a spin. We also got I Make Beats with a super chat donation. Thank you so much, I Make Beats, for the love once again. He says, No Mercy, 8 out of 10. Roxy versus Jaida, match of the night. Good to see our champion is still all ego. Kill him with a smile. Kill him with a smile. Ego. And props to Fraxium for bringing home the gold once again. Fraxium, best tag team in professional wrestling today. Call Me Mr. Bonda says Zachary Wentz for MVP. I Beats, great call. Very comparison. Says Harlem Spin, greater than Spinaroonie. I agree. I used to do a mean Spinaroonie back in the day, Mr. Bonda, but I'm like 20 pounds heavier and a lot older, so I don't know if I can do it anymore. And Eric Isaac says 8 out of 10 MVPs, Zachary Wentz and Giulia, LVP, Wendy, Peekaboo. And yes, I agree with you. I agree with other people in the chat. LVP for the show, I got to give it to Wendy Choo. I'm sorry. I like Wendy a lot, but this did not hit, and it was easily the worst match on the last 2 NXT Premium Live events. I don't think any match on Heatwave was as bad as that one. Sorry. I tried my best throughout this review to say it wasn't really good, or to not say it's bad, but it was a bad match. 1 3/4 stars, not a good match. Not a good match at all. Chilling with Chase says LVP Trick Williams had to count for his rival and then gets attacked by Pete Dunne. Yeah, he got chumped out. And Bell gives LVP to Death Rebel. Also fair. You guys have been amazing today as my co-host for this review. One last one here. We got Christopher who says 8 out of 10. Roxanne and Giulia MVP and Wendy Choo LVP. I think a lot of us are in agreement from Wendy Choo. Unfortunately, she will bounce back and deliver in a big way, hopefully with this rivalry with Tatum Paxley. But this is the end of our NXT No Mercy 2024 review. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHeelSP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at TrueHeelHeat. Patreon.com/TrueHeelHeat. $3 a month gets you exclusive content. And we will have our TNA Emergence review over on Patreon exclusively for our Patreon backers and our members of the channel. You got our TNA Emergence preview. You will get our review as well, strictly for those who show their support in that way. And check out all the great content we got on the True Heel Heat YouTube channel right now, like our WWE Bash in Berlin review with me and the True Draw Josh from yesterday. Check out me, the True Draw Josh, and Miss Chrissy Love with the True Heel Heat Flagship Podcast, episode 292, talking about a busy week in professional wrestling as well as preview and predictions. See what we got wrong from NXT No Mercy and WWE Bash in Berlin right now. But until then, I will be back with you tomorrow, 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time, with Rated Raw review. Hopefully, Romeo will be back with me, or Brother Chase, I know you're watching. You might get a call this evening. But until then, it is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3. This has been our NXT No Mercy 2024 review. Giulia has arrived, and we love Giulia here on THH. See you next time, y'all. Later.